Hey now! The Hey Now Howard podcast is the first and only fan podcast dedicated to the king of all media, Howard Stern, and all things Howard Stern Show. I'm Daniel Coyne.
And my name is Tyler Fortat. Today we're going to be talking about Brent's soft swinging.
This is Beto. He's as bad as can. He knows he's the best. This is Beto. He's as bad as can. He knows he's the best.
Thank you, Beetle. Thank you, Blues Travelers. Beautiful song. I think that song won what's it called? Oscar?
Grammy.
A Grammy. I think that won the Grammy that year.
Of course. And every year. It should.
And every year. Every year. It wins. Song of the year. In perpetuity.
Yep.
The Beetlejuice song. God, what
That's
a
the world I
classic.
want to live in.
Wouldn't that be a just world? But today we have other things to cover.
We do.
Mainly being Brent and Caitlin. Oh, first I want to say... Oh, man. First, we're going to do some of these sober. Now we've lost it. We did... The last one was a little more sober. Now, whiskey's kicking in a bit. But I did want to say...
We're off the rails.
Hit like... Yeah, we're off the rails. Off the roof. Off the cuff. Hit the like... Tyler's losing it. Hit the like button. Subscribe. We're on Spotify. Apple. Apple's cutting us monster checks. But we're making as much as Joe Rogan these days.
It's insane.
We got a monster following. Kids in Antarctica are listening. We're getting fan mail from across the globe.
Yeah, we got t-shirts, hats, backpacks,
Streamers.
anything you guys need.
Yeah, check us out.
But let's dive into it. So, Brent and Caitlin. You said Caitlin earlier, that's why I was laughing. But Brent and Caitlin.
Mix up. It's something close to that.
It's close.
Caitlin.
Brent and Caitlin and their swinging has been a topic of conversation on the Stern Show for what seems like the last year. And
Has to be.
I feel like it pretty much came to a head, no pun intended, in L.A. whenever they came out here. Yeah. When they came out to L.A. Holy shit. So here's what I'll propose as a question to you, Dan. Do you think that this L.A. trip was the beginning of the end for Brent's marriage?
I think that things definitely shifted. Probably not in the best way for Brent. Because I think that this showed, in a nutshell, also the difference between men and women. You know, you have men and women on two different coasts, both looking for sex, whatever, to go. And the woman finding it way easier and having a way crazier time. And Brent, meanwhile, is
Naturally.
in LA, and he's got producers around him, writers. He's been talking about this. He's been hyping this up for months. And now he's having trouble. The women don't even know that they're involved. And then there's all this back and forth between, did the women there know that, was this through the swinging app? And people are bringing up a good point. If this swinging app is so easy, well, it's easy for Caitlin, obviously. But if it's so easy for a guy as well, then why did he struggle so much in L.A.? And also...
Well, according to him, he didn't struggle.
Yeah.
So it depends on who you talk to.
Well, we'll get into that as well. But yeah, this shows you the difference. And I think that's got to be tough for him to hear, even if he doesn't want to admit it, because he's listening. The whole country's listening in, as well as the staff, on his wife totally having the time of her life.
Oh, my God.
Even if he did get laid in L.A., it wasn't nearly as graphic or as detailed or as wild.
Horrifying?
As, yeah.
As what Caitlin went through?
About it.
Yeah, no, it's not for me. To answer my own question I proposed to you, is this the beginning of the end of Brent's marriage? 100% yes. I feel like this is the tipping off point for what's going to lead to a disaster. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I don't want to wish, the end of a marriage on anybody. However, just looking at the puzzle pieces here, it just looks like this chick is way more into swinging than Brent ever intended to be. One, because what they're doing now is not swinging. This is not a swinger mentality. She's basically saying, if you're out of town, we can just fuck other people. That's an open marriage. Very different from swinging from what I can understand.
We don't know if she was the only one saying that. Because he might have originally thought, oh, cool, in his head, thinking things were going to be equal. But not taking into account.
This is just my theory. I don't think that if she's initiating all of this, there's none of this where he's like, yeah, like I want to do. So? Yes, I think this is all stemming from her. Yeah, but
he's always he's on the Bubba show. Like, I think they met from her calling in.
Yeah, I think he's into it, but I don't. He's down, but he's not the front runner of this thing. He's not driving this car. She is.
Well, I think also is he's trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah,
the Joneses are all running train on his wife, and he's in L.A.
all the Joneses in the tri-state area. So quite literally trying to keep up with everybody named Joneses that's ramming his wife. Yeah, dude. So, I don't know, man. I think that he's just. I think he's trying to keep up.
That would happen to a lot of guys.
Yeah.
On paper, okay, the first time you hear it, oh wow, I can go to L.A. and things, I'll make a whole bit of it, and I'll be hooking up with all these girls, and then. Like oftentimes happens with guys, reality doesn't
especially
match
in LA. You come out here and you're like, oh, people out here suck, and girls out here don't like me.
Exactly. And let alone, it's not like the guys, Leo DiCaprio looking.
Exactly.
So he's not exactly the best looking guy in the world. She's no, model, but she's well good enough to find whatever she needs in New York City.
Here's how I know that she's driving this whole train is from whenever they first started talking about their swinging lifestyle, it was just that, swinging, right? So, I remember Robin was asking Brent at one time, she's like, well, what's the difference? Like, why wouldn't you just go out and sleep with other women? She sleeps with other guys. She's like, well, we don't do that. He's like, swinging is, we're together. It's a thing we do together. We're still a couple. We're still in a marriage. We're going to go out and we're going to hook up with other couples and other people, but we're going to be together. Now, when you step away from that, that's an open marriage. And and whenever Robin pressed him on it, he's like, no, that's an open, and he even said it himself. That's an open marriage. That's not what this is. We're swingers. We're in a swinging community. And it's just so funny how quickly his tone changed whenever she, brought up the idea of, wanting to, sleep with other people whenever they're out of town. So it's just listen. Brent always just seems to dive in 100% no matter what. So, he's like, well, he's just kind of going with this idea that this is what they do and you guys don't get it. But I can't get over the fact that I think that it's just coming all from her and he's just going along with it, and he has to keep going along with it to everybody else so he doesn't look like a fool.
Yeah, but I don't know if he was such against it, would he make it such a big part of the show?
I honestly don't think he's against it. I just don't think that I think that he's going with it, and I think he totally convinces himself that this is cool, this is totally normal. Something's going to hit a breaking point, and if it wasn't the jackhammer, I don't know what was going to happen, but something's going to happen where it's like a line's going to be crossed, where it's going to happen where he didn't know about it, and he finds out after the fact or something. Something's going to happen.
Well, apparently there's a lot of rules that get put in place, and
and I think they keep getting broken.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
That'll turn into some great.
Remember Ronnie's party? Even that bullshit. There was some things that he's like, "Don't show Benji your pussy," and then immediately she shows him. She shows him her pussy.
I mean, we all know that's a golden rule amongst couples.
But she said it, and then she did it, and then he'll always be like, "Well, I'm not the boss of her. I'm not the boss of her, man. She can do whatever she wants. I'm not the boss of her." All right, okay, well, so how often can you of course you're not the boss of her, that's not what we're saying, but at what point do you kind of have some self-respect and be like, well, if I didn't want my wife to do that because it's disrespectful to me, When can I put my foot down on certain things? And I think that he's just going to keep doing that, and it's going to come to a head. But I think this LA trip is just like that. You're on top of that mountain, it's going to start coming downhill. Because, yeah, this is just a weird thing. And then so let's get into it. Obviously, Caitlyn stays in New York. Brent goes to LA. Brent has 2 dates set up. One with a Playboy model, another one with somebody, or just another girl. Caitlyn has her date set up. Now, interesting part of this is Caitlyn had a...
I don't think she had a bunch of dates set up. I think she just fired up the app.
She just fired up the app. But no, remember, like, Brent had to vet all of the guys that she was going to she was going to bang. Okay. Like, he had to meet with them and, like, vet them. And then that was the whole...
Met with them?
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Like, it was, like, pre-LA... He was going to, like, meet with them or, like, check them out to make sure they were cool, whatever, quote-unquote cool, before they fuck his wife.
She asked how big their cocks were.
Yeah.
She doesn't do bigger than they did.
Yeah, right. Like, he fucking...
Very detailed.
Oh, my God. He's insane. So, anyway, the one guy fell through, so she just goes back on the app, finds this jackhammer guy who's a fucking porn star, not vetted by Brent. Brent doesn't know who the fuck this guy is. He's already in L.A., and he's like, yeah. He's like, that wasn't...
a good point.
He's like, that wasn't discussed, but, she can do whatever she wants. It's like, dude, Jesus Christ. Like, what the fuck? So, yeah. I don't know. So that happened. Now...
Some rules are getting bent here, huh?
Rules are getting bent. No, that wasn't even the controversy. That's just kind of basically the general discussion in the studio whenever it comes to Brent swinging. Brent has his views that people just don't understand. If you're not in the swinging lifestyle, you're not going to get it. I'm not, so I don't get it. So basically, Brent has this date with the Playboy model. They have Shuli and Chris Wilding there to cover it. As they're there, the date going on seems to be going okay, rather awkward. The girl seems to be, according to Brent, seems to be a little annoyed that Chris and Shuli are sitting in the booth with them or sitting so close to them and covering the bit. So she seems kind of annoyed. She kind of wants to get out of it. Either way, I could see how that could be annoying, or at least heating the process of an actual date, because they're just 2 guys with microphones sitting there and observing. So Brent tells Shuli and Chris to fuck off pretty much, and so they do, and then they go to another bar and go out, and then where at the end of the night Brent takes her back to the hotel room and they hook up, according to Brent, the next time we're in the studio. Now, of course, Shuli and Chris are pissed off because they weren't there to cover it, and they, kind of need to be there in order to validate this entire thing, but they weren't. So Brent tells his whole entire story, to the studio. As he's doing that, the girl that he hooked up with, supposedly, calls into the studio and tells a whole different story, which... obviously caused chaos in the entire studio. So, saying that basically she's saying that they never hooked up, they didn't hook up. So, my question to you, Dan, is what the fuck do you think actually happened there? Do you believe Brent? Do you believe the girl? Obviously, there's a lot of other factors. What's your take on this whole thing?
Well, let's talk about some of those other factors first. So, there's a lot of discrepancies either side of the story that you believe. So, the first thing that I took issue with is, do these girls know that they're going to be on the Stern Show? They essentially were acting, or she was acting, that she didn't know much about the show. She maybe listened back in the day, but that her friend in LA kind of is a fan of the show. He set it up. But then again, Brent is saying that as he was in LA, he was going to be using the swinging app. And these girls know what's up. These girls know it's going to be wild. Like, we may not even go on a date. We're just going to go straight to... And then it turns out that they're just, like, on a regular first date like anybody else. Also, why would a Playboy model go on a date with Brent?
You can just leave it at that.
Without... the fame aspect of being on the Stern Show. Not just the Stern Show, but any show. So if this was to be all, we're going to not use her name, it's going to be audio only, no one will ever know who she is, why would a Playboy model put herself up for that? And then also, she said she's barely a fan of the show, so that doesn't make sense either. But then Brent is saying to everyone, I'm setting all this up through an app. These girls are ready to hook up. They're barely even ready for a date. I don't know what the hell to believe.
Right.
I do believe some of the main stories. This is a good old whodunit, I tell you. I feel like we're putting all these.
No, we're gonna figure this out
This
tonight.
is like a game of Clue.
No, we're gonna figure this out. I
Except
have a
those
theory.
like dildos instead of candlesticks.
Yep, exactly.
In the Clue board.
Who done it?
For Ronnie.
Who done it with their wiener?
But I think ultimately it goes back to he was not expecting Caitlyn to, or if he was expecting her to have as easy of a time, which is much more believable, he thought that he would have much easier of a time on the West Coast than he did. Regardless, if he did hook up with her, then it wasn't recorded. It wasn't some great bit that's going to be known forever. If anything, it's more people controversial in the Stern universe than anything. So what's in it for him if things would have ended up exactly how he wanted to? And especially if he did hook up with a girl, a Playboy model caliber girl, he would be bragging and talking about it much more than he did. I mean,
so you're
actually,
saying you don't believe him?
I don't know. See, it's even. I'm even contradicting myself as we record this right now. Because, so what I will say is, I do believe that Brent did have sex with this girl. I think, and the reason I believe that is because when the girl called into the show and she was live on the air, she had a totally different tone the second that they mentioned the fact of bringing video cameras from the hotel, which, by the way, no hotel in the world is going to give you their surveillance camera for a radio show bit. But the second that she even believed that could be possible, she got very quiet on the other line. Brent jumped all over the opportunity.
So
Let's do it,
man.
Let's do it. Pull the tape.
Come on, man.
And she was dead quiet for 15 or 20 seconds, probably thinking of her next move. And all of a sudden, her story started changing drastically, where she barely remembered if she ever went up to his room, and that she just blanks these memories out because it was such a bad experience that she just blacked it out of her mind. Meanwhile, it was a week beforehand.
Yeah.
She's having such a hard time. And even live, she's like, I'm just trying to think.
It's uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable to listen to.
It was so blatantly lying.
It was blatantly lying, man. And I felt very uncomfortable because I felt bad for her that she was blatantly lying. Because you know that she was lying because she felt uncomfortable, and I felt uncomfortable for her.
Yeah,
So
and
like,
I think even Howard picked up on it, and probably Robin, and they didn't even drill too. Yeah,
they did kind of. Like they were like, okay, so what do you say? And she was like,
She's
well,
like, I feel like I'm cornered. I mean, anything. I'm sure.
I felt bad for her. So
I didn't.
You didn't. I did.
She's lying.
Yeah, because here's my reasoning though. I think that she was lying too.
Yeah, she had.
So I think Brent had sex with her. I think that they hooked up, but and I agree with everything you said. Like, you know, I think that like once it kind of came out, they're like, oh shit, they might catch me in a lie. She started backtracking a little bit and started, you know, going back as far as maybe we did go up to your hotel room. Maybe we did. I can't really remember.
Yes. 3 different times the story changed.
3 different times the story changed, yes. But the biggest kicker for me was whenever Brent came in, he's like, I have proof. I can prove to you that I hooked up with this chick. Comes back in with his cell phone and starts showing all these text messages around to the group. And they're like, oh, okay, like, yeah, like that doesn't really show much. Yeah, it doesn't prove anything. It doesn't prove anything. And then he shows it to Robin. And he goes, Robin, do you say it? He's like, do you believe me now? Do you believe me now? And Robin just goes, Brent, you have no honor. He's like, well, do you believe me? Do you believe me? And she's like, that's all I'm saying. You have no honor. So she wouldn't validate him by saying, do you believe me? But if there was nothing in there, she would be like, Brent, there's nothing in here. Fuck off. But the fact that she like looked at it and like looked and was so dead serious and was like, you have no honor, led me to believe that it was probably somewhat like proved that they hooked up. But she basically said, do not talk about this on the air because you're going to find out who I am. Or people are going to find out who I am, and I don't want this out. please just don't talk about this on the air that we hooked up. And I think he came right in, talked about it, and that's why she basically had to lie and was like, no, I'm going to say that we didn't hook up because, this is... And she also said, Brent, you're totally different. This is a totally different guy than from what I went out with. And basically, that I took from that was, yeah, the guy I met was honorable, and he wouldn't go back on his word to say that whenever he said that he wasn't gonna say anything.
Yeah.
So
he probably said it that night to get in her pants too.
Yeah, you know what?
Like,
and then
hey, we ditched them. I won't record it
again. It's like, what are you fucking doing here? Like, if that's what it takes to like sleep with some chick, like what? How do you distinguish yourself from just being a single guy? You're married.
Well, then not only that, but what's the whole point? Isn't the whole point to have a bit for the show and them have? So if you're gonna ditch the guy, which I think he did, so yeah, I mean maybe Brent just isn't the high class honorable guy that we think, but I think what happened, they hooked up. She woke up next to Brent, God bless her. Of course, had instant regrets.
Sure.
And I think that but here's another problem. Well, maybe when she was sober, she liked the idea of maybe getting a little bit of kickback fame from the Stern Show.
Right.
Because that's my thing is, a Playboy model is not going to go on the fact that she's going to be completely anonymous. So that's why I don't understand.
Right.
But let's go with the
She probably
fact.
just got freaked out in the morning and was like, oh shit, I might be slut-shamed, that whole thing.
Right. Which I completely agree that there's psycho fans on Reddit and all that shit.
Yeah, people are going to
They're
find
gonna
out who that
out
is.
who she is. Even they said we use a different name, but I'm sure. And there was probably there's even
We could
people
probably
that
find
have
out who it is right
pictures
now
of
if we just
them.
look it up. Like we probably
Right.
just like do our research and find out.
Yeah. And here she is joining our podcast. Oh no, that's not her. Never mind. But I believe Brent. I think that his core story, and it goes back to the fact that what's he going to come up with? Is he going to say that, no, sorry, I struck out? And while his wife is...
his wife. With
the New
that
York
story.
Giants are running on her, so...
Like, and he heard that bit, obviously, before they aired it. So it's like, he knows his story in L.A., and then he hears her talking about getting jackhammered by a porn star named the Jackhammer. Are you fucking kidding me? That sounds awful. That sounds awful. Whenever playing that in the studio and Ronnie's listening to it, and he literally couldn't control himself because he thought he was gonna have a mental breakdown. And even so, I was listening to it and I was thinking in my head, I was like, God, if this was like my girlfriend or wife, repeating this, I would be like melting into nothing. I would feel like a piece of shit. Like, I hate this. I felt it then listening to it, like without even like having any attachment to it. I was feeling those feelings, and then listening to it, and then Ronnie just exploded.
He sent him a thank you message.
Oh,
Back
that
to
was
Brent,
even
thanking him
worse.
for-
He says, "Oh, thanks for letting me fuck your wife." Oh God, it's like that Brent's got to be okay. So it's got to be a fucking thing that's weighing on him heavily. And today's show, I know we're jumping ahead a little bit, but I just want to point this out. Today's show really highlighted that because they wanted to do a bit called Hollywood Squares for Christmas, and one of the things they wanted to do was have Caitlyn be in the center square next to the jackhammer, be her and the jackhammer. And Brent in the pitch room freaked out, said absolutely not, no fucking way. Went out, called Caitlyn. He's like, hey, this is what they want to do. She said no way. So like it became an on-air thing where Howard was like, how are you gonna say no to this, but you're gonna let this guy fuck your wife?
crossing the line.
Yeah, that's crossing the line. So that was the whole thing. And honestly, I kind of like got what Brent was saying. I was like, dude, this, what they did was just sex. Is like, now we're making it more of a thing. But then everybody else got on him and was like, dude, you're jealous of this guy. Like, you're jealous of this guy. And like, I could just tell, like, this is just eating away at him. It's got to be. And if it wasn't, it is now, because just all of his peers and all of his coworkers are like.
Well, now billions of people are going to be talking about it after this podcast, too.
Oh, that's true. I know. Maybe we should go easy on him.
People in Asia, this is trending all across the world. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, and again, when he comes back to And there's a reason that he sent off the production crew, because that was the only way it was going to happen.
Right.
So maybe she did whisper something to him. She had a few drinks in her, and she figured, hey, maybe let's just do it. But I'm not down to record things.
Like, I'm not on the
so
like
that's why
surely.
he doesn't have the video evidence,
Right.
photos, audio, but then again, would he have? But then there was more people on the staff that didn't believe, unless they were just talking shit on the air.
I think they're just talking shit in the air.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, I'm not like with the Shuley. I don't even think Shuley believes fully what he's talking about. How he's
that's
like,
all
Brent's
bullshit,
lying.
yeah.
I know. But it is funny as hell, though. It makes me laugh.
Right.
It's like, he came on today. He's like, this guy's the biggest scam artist. I was like,
Well, the problem now is they gotta keep up in the ante.
right.
So, this has been a storyline for over a year. They've done the LA thing. There's going to be something else.
Yeah, they did a Halloween swinging party that,
Right.
that Steve Nowicki covered. And, like, again, it was more.
Doesn't it always seem like it doesn't quite line up for what Brent had in mind?
Yes, every single time.
And this is back from the way beginning. So
Right.
when they first started talking about this, the whole soft swinging thing.
Right.
Yeah, at first it was like it took him a couple times of going to these bars, and then he couldn't find the right people, and then the
Right.
right website. And I mean, maybe it's just a matter of she can find it easier than they can find it together. And
Yeah, that's always going to be the case, I feel
but
like.
you're right, it's not swinging when
It's
they're
just
just kind
her.
of doing their own thing.
Right. Oh, yeah, man. I love Nowicki's impression.
So what do you think? You think he was telling the truth the whole time? Like,
I think that Brent's telling the truth, but he's also living in his own little Brent reality of what the situation actually is, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think he sees it for what it really is. I don't think he's lying in any way. I don't think that he's like lying about hooking up with girls or whatever it may be.
this one in particular, the Playboy girl.
Do I think he's lying about the Playboy girl?
Just the whole situation. Is he like exaggerating?
No, I think that he hooked up. I mean, shit. I don't know. I played this like
He had
scenario.
like the lamest. Wouldn't he be super pumped if he hooked up with a Playboy model? He had like the lamest version of a story, and then he just had some random
Because
add-on where,
I-
and then at the end, some chick on Instagram messaged me, and I banged her too.
Right.
And no pictures, video, interviews.
course not. Yeah.
So
I think that they were
this
just
guy's-
very.
He's been in the radio industry for
Right.
30 years. He's on the Bubba Show for years. He's been on the Stern Show for years. This bit has been planned out for months. So I'm just playing devil's advocate of maybe there is some truth to maybe they just like hooked up and got drunk and made out a little bit, and he's like, oh shit, I gotta have some type of content.
Right, I can't
She
come back and
gets
say
a
we
hold
made
of
out
it
when my
and say,
wife's getting
what the
banged up with a
fuck?
jackhammer.
Exactly.
No,
So I'm not.
there's-
Put it this way: if I was on a juror, I'd maybe a little hung juror.
yeah,
I mean, I think Howard said that too. He's like, I'd be the juror that would drag things out forever, but I wouldn't put the death sentence on somebody for this. I'm not feeling that confident.
yeah. Either am I.
Put it that way.
However, just based on this scenario, I do feel like the Playboy chick that they hooked up, there's something happened there. I can't like get over the fact that as far as Robin and how her story changed drastically like 3 or 4
yeah.
times because she just got
So
very
the-
nervous.
yeah,
So I
her
felt
story
bad
went-
for her because I stick to my theory that they hooked up. She didn't want it to come out. He came out on the air and said it, so she had to deny it. And then, yeah, that's kind of how that played out. Now, I will say that I think that Brent has a very skewed version of how he's perceived in this dating/swinging world,
He's a solid 7.
And he's a solid 7. And he acts like a solid 7, hence you saying, yeah, hooked up with a Playboy model, no big deal.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you would be. But I think it was probably just like a lackluster. I think he had to try very hard for it to happen. It happened. It didn't really go. Like, it wasn't some crazy sex escapade that his wife was having. So he just downplayed it.
But they brought up some good points too. Is these apps are crazy. Well, I don't know about the swinging app in particular, but there's certain like hookup apps that people always talk about having wild experiences for not a ton of effort. So if he really was that hell-bent on making something happen, why didn't he just fire up the app?
Yeah, and why is he going
he
on a
would've found
date?
something.
Like, he brought the other girl out for drinks. Like, Caitlyn, from what we understand, just sat at her, like, wasn't she just at home and the guy showed up?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure she put very little effort into that.
Very
She
little
answered the
effort.
front door
Yeah.
when the doorbell rang.
Brent's sitting there, like, jumping through hoops,
'Cause
singing
think
and
about
dancing.
it, I mean, now I'm starting to reconvince myself the other way, because the only fully documented date that they had, the girl ran out of the lobby. She
Oh,
acted like she
yeah.
was going to the bathroom and completely left. So that's a reaction to probably a good-looking LA girl going out with. Maybe she caught wind that it'd be on the Stern show and showed up.
Well, dude.
And again, that's my other thing. And Shuley and them said this. We were under the impression, and you said, these chicks are good to go. They know the deal. Shit's getting wild.
Right.
Then they show up, and it's like they barely know each other's name. So, and I said this earlier.
Did you hear how
on the
drunk he
podcast,
sounded
but-
whenever they actually
and
covered him?
Robin was like, well, you numbed every feeling you had. And
Right.
that's the other thing, is he's totally not as into this as his wife is.
Yes, I completely agree. That's why he's getting all fucked up for it.
Right. Because not only, imagine this happening in your personal life where things are kind of getting away from you. He has to keep up with this radio show that's having an ongoing story about it. Callers call, even if they drop the storyline, callers are going to call in. I'm sure he's getting
Right.
stuff in his personal life, messages. So he has to continue this persona that he's equal to his wife. He's
Yeah.
obviously not. I mean, any guy versus girl in that situation, let alone his wife is more attractive than him. So he's getting it from all angles. But then again, god damn, I don't know
You're
what
contradicting
to think.
yourself
Because
again?
if he did hook up with that Playboy chick, he would have taken a picture. He would have done something. Even if she, like, he would have done something to convince more people.
There was something on his phone. I'm telling you, that's what that's where like the
And I think that she actually, I think even it was, the comment was said that Robin was like scrolling up through the messages, because I think maybe even Robin, they said Robin saw something, like he might have had a certain thing set up in the messages to show people, and then they said that Robin was scrolling through the thread, and they're like, Robin saw something in those messages.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So I think she was scrolling
Right.
through
Robin
earlier
saw
ones that
something.
he didn't exactly want. So
Right.
you're probably right. He said, or she said, hey,
If we do
like,
this
last night got crazy.
Right.
Let's just make sure that did. And he may have even said, hey, if we hook up, it's never going to hit the air.
right. So I think
So
that's
that's
what,
pretty shady too.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
But
what I
then
think
why
happened.
didn't he document this other thing that happened?
I don't know.
At all.
And especially,
that was just like a little, he said that for like 10 seconds. He's like,
yeah,
oh,
that story.
by the way, there
Well,
was
he
this
blames
other
on
girl.
everybody else. He's like, you guys didn't want to hear about that. All you focused on is the one that said that she didn't hook up with me. He blamed that on everybody else. But to your counterpoint that you just made, it's like Nowicki fucking went on that swingers party for Halloween, and one of his first story about it was Brent goes to the bathroom, Caitlin's sitting there. As soon as Brent leaves for the bathroom, a couple comes over, a guy starts sucking on one of Caitlin's tits, and the girl starts sucking on one of her right tits, and they're just like going at it. And Brent's while Brent's in the bathroom. Now, this is like a rule that they don't do this whenever somebody's not around. And then Brent comes out of the bathroom. And he tries to like get in there and join in. The couple literally like couldn't get away fast enough. They just run away. So like that's like the first story Nowicki tells, and like Brent totally like goes along with it because that's exactly what happened. So those are the only stories that we have of Brent swinging.
He wouldn't have told that story if
Of
Nowicki
course
wouldn't have
not.
told. So.
Right. So there's a lot of shit like that. So you really don't know. It's hard to tell, but fuck. It's what a crazy life.
Yeah. You're putting your wife in some crazy, and she's putting herself in the situations too, but I imagine there's a lot of shades of gray there when it comes to what's allowed, what's not, and then you're allowing other people in the picture. But to your point, now we're talking about not other people. They're on opposite coasts. He's still going through. So what do you think this means for them? Do you think they can make it through at least the rest of the Stern show?
Yeah, I think they'll probably make it through the Stern show. But dude, I'm telling you, it's gonna come to a point where like he's gonna, like I said, like she's gonna just do what she wants, and at some point he's gonna have a breaking point because he's not gonna be able to like just go along with all this stuff and just adapt and adapt and adapt. I do think that she's driving this train fully. I think that there's like he has no real say as far as like what are the real rules are. I think she's creating the rules and he's going along with them, and then he's reciting the rules to the staff and the rest of the show, and then whenever she breaks them, those are now the new rules. I think that that's how it's going to keep on going. I hope it works out, but dude, it looks like a fucking scary ride. I don't know.
And I hate to say this, but do you think there's other staffers that will get divorced or break up after the show? Because there's a lot of staffers, even if they don't want to talk about it, that their relationship started with their wives being fans of the show.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a tough one. You don't want to even comment because you don't want to wish that, JD. God damn it. I know. I think, well, I mean, that's the only one that's like newly married. I think Ronnie's pretty safe.
Is he?
Yeah, I think that Stephanie loves Ronnie. I like to believe that Stephanie loves Ronnie. I don't know, JD.
They brought up some good points, though. It's like he may be a young 70, but he may be an old 74.
Right,
something.
yeah, that shit happens quick.
3 or 4 years. But I'm not saying that happens to everyone at that age, but he ain't going to be riding race cars for too much longer.
Right.
And, being at
but he also is 70 and he's doing riding race cars, so it's like,
he'll outlive us all.
Right, who fucking knows?
But that could be a prime candidate. I mean, what's he going to start a veterinarian hospital in
that was the best.
Las Vegas?
I hope he does.
I think we're going to do a whole episode on that.
On Ronnie's vet. A whole episode. That's a whole fucking mini-series I want to do. As far as like an animated mini-series of Ronnie.
Well, according to Ronnie, he's not even going to re-up on the next contract if Howard resigns.
Yeah, that was pretty well. That was wild.
Yeah.
That was...
So there you go. That's another staffer that's talking about the future without Howard, and he was kind of one of the first staffers that talked about that future without Howard. But even then, he said, imagine your life without being on the show. You're not gonna be all over these clubs in Vegas.
Dude,
or be the hottest guy.
Did you listen to that whole Kurt Busch calling in to wish him happy birthday and fucked him over? That made me sad. Because I know that he was definitely fucking with him, but like he didn't like come out and say like, I'm just fucking with you, Ronnie, happy birthday. Like, at the end of a roast, you usually say, hey, I was just fucking with you. And then like Howard laid into him. He's like, dude, you realize that's not really your friend. It's only your friend because of me and the show. It's like, oh, I could tell. He's like, Ronnie's like, maybe you're right.
Those reminders.
I know. I felt bad. That was sad. But yeah,
what do you think about JD and his wife? Do you think there's potential there? And I mean, it's kind of fucked up that we're just making a podcast about if people are going to divorce their wives. But do you think there's other staff members that similar to, and I bring this up in context of Brent and Caitlin, that their relationship was kind of brought in full spotlight in the show, and I'm not trying to wish bad upon anyone's relationship, but do you think there'll be an effect of these guys going off the air when their wives are, instant messaging them because they're fans of the show, and that's how they met?
Interesting. I don't know. I guess it depends on what these guys end up doing after the show and what they go on to do. You know what I mean?
If
like,
they keep famous,
if they
their
can
wives
stay
will
famous.
keep loving them.
I mean, it's like not necessarily famous, like
Q rated up.
Yeah, right. Like I'm just wondering, like JD's got those aspirations to be a director. I could see like JD and his wife moving to California, to Hollywood, and seeing what they can. Look, with the Stern Show connections, I don't think they're gonna have a tough time finding a job in some sort of entertainment medium.
Yeah.
So, I think they'll be okay.
I guess it goes back to the question of how many of these relationships are built on real solid grounds and how many are built on...
Dude, Fred met his wife on Dial-A-Date, from the show. And you think Howard's going to have...
she was never on the show.
Right. What are you asking then?
I'm saying... And they talk about... I mean, Benji was dating, like, a freaking supermodel...
Oh, you just mean relationships that stem because they're on the show or from the show? Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, a lot of these guys are married to women that they met from the show. So,
that's what I'm saying. Fred,
and like they said, maybe in 5 years, it's going to be like Ronnie's going to play bingo at the VFW in Vegas. It's not exactly as luxurious as, now, right. Or his wife or his fiance, who he's never going to marry,
right,
is listening to the show. What about if that's gone?
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
We should just make a whole podcast about who's going to get divorced or not.
Who's going to get divorced once the show ends?
It's like the death poll they used to do.
Yeah,
we should do a death poll episode.
Oh, with Whack Pack?
Death poll candidates. Whack Pack.
They did a Whack Pack death poll.
Write-in candidates.
Months ago.
Celebrities. I mean, death poll, I think we actually took some predictions. We might have actually got one right on one of our previous episodes. I should go back and listen to these.
Yeah,
they say that's the best way to learn.
Yeah, I don't know.
Speaking of not learning from anything, we should probably wrap this episode up.
Yeah. That's about it for us. But that was fun talking about Brent and Caitlin and their soft swinging.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. It's been awesome hanging out with you, Tyler.
It's been awesome hanging out with you, Daniel.
We're live here from Los Angeles. Hey, hit the like button, subscribe, share. Check us out on Spotify, MySpace, Snitcher.
MySpace? We have a MySpace?
Switcher. Is it?
We don't have a MySpace. Twitcher?
Twitter? No, we don't have a Twitter. We're on YouTube.
What do we have?
Spotify. Merc32.
What?
No. AOL is
what
the
are
messenger. No, we're definitely
honestly,
on Spotify.
If you were serious about any of this, I would have believed you. I have no idea what we're on.
5-star, all that.
I just talk into this thing and I let you handle the rest.
Oh, no. I had my mom 5-star and comment.
Oh, nice.
5-star, comment, like,
subscribe.
subscribe. That's okay. No one likes me anyways. But you guys like me. And all our fans from all across the world, we appreciate it. Keep on writing all your different languages. We'll transcribe them live on the air. We appreciate it. Live from the Hey Now Hire podcast, I've been Daniel Coyne.
And I'm Tyler Cortad, leaving you with a hit him with the high.
This is
Bye for now.